You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Ding, ding. Hey, everybody. It's so good to be here at 7 o'clock on the nose. And what a nose it is. The 25th day of the 11th month of the 25th year, the new millennium. And we're only a couple days away from Thanksgiving. And I'm looking forward to tonight's show because I knew I was going to be joined in studio by two great guests. And whenever there's somebody in the room, it just feels 10 times better. 10 times better. And before I introduce them real quick, I just want to let you know what I'm giving away. I'll be actually announcing this tomorrow, but I wanted to give you guys some time. First of all, Grimbold, our good buddy Grimbold out there, sent us, he sent us all those SpaceX patches. No, now he sent us a official medium SpaceX, I guess like a cock rocket shirt. You know how all their Falcon, so get yourself a cock rocket shirt. It is a medium. But on top of that, because he says don't give any SpaceX stuff away without any precious metals, you're getting an ounce of silver. You're getting 1 ounce of silver, buffalo head. There you go, right there. Go check that out. I think the spot price is still hovering around 50. And then, like I thought, when Molly already won her jean jacket last week, she paid forward her art that she sent to me for my birthday that she reproduced smaller. So she said, please give that to somebody else. So you're getting the art, you're getting the silver, you're getting the shirt. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. All you got to do is send a super chat in through quitefranklysuperchat.com, YouTube, the Rumble Rants, the Gold Pills. All of those will be put together tonight, added with whatever comes in tomorrow, and by mid-show tomorrow, I'll announce that when Jay is in. Oh, one other thing. Tonight, to add a little bit more craziness to it all, I just wanted to let you know I am leaving the text-to-speech super chats on. So if you go to quitefranklysuperchat.com and you put in any message there, $10 or more, it is going to pop up on screen, and it's going to read itself. And I don't know. I'd say do your worst, but I'm sure that some of you are already going to go there. So we will see. We'll see what comes up on screen. I just wanted to add that chaos agent into there a little bit. And since I've got two great people here to just riff on tonight, nothing too serious on the menu, why the hell not? Okay, to my left is Anthony. What's going on, Ant?
Hey, what's happening?
Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Just here on Friday.
I know.
And now this. And you want to introduce our other guest? Because I met our guest through you, actually.
Yes. Today we have on my left, we have Alberto.
Hello, guys.
Hey, there he is.
Thank you for having me here tonight.
This is the first time we've seen you since. No. You and Anthony have hung out, worked out together, and all that.
Yep.
First time I've seen you since the Jamboree.
Yeah.
So a couple of months. It was so good to have you and your wife here.
Thank you so much. It was a blast.
Yeah. So how did you guys link up? Because I know there's a music tie there, right?
Well, we met because we met from the Trivium show.
That's true.
Back in, it was the first one.
No.
It was October of 2022.
Yeah, at least 4 years ago. Yeah.
That headlining Trivium show over at the PlayStation Theater in the city.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And that's where I met you, and I met the whole Brazilian Jiu Jitsu crew.
Right.
They all, anytime Matt Heafy from Trivium is in town, they all meet up beforehand and do some rolling, and they train together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been in touch ever since then, and then obviously we've hung out a couple of other times when Trivium came into town, and yeah, now you're just part of the crew here too.
Thank you.
Coming to hang out.
Seriously, I mean, you fit right in because you came by for the Christmas party, and then and we realized that you are, I mean, obviously there's the Brazilian Jiu Jitzu practitioner in you. There's the teacher in you. You also co-founded a couple of martial arts apparel companies. I want to talk to you about because I see some really interesting things over there, including a Megadeth link. And but not to mention, you're a world traveler and you're a conspiracy coincidence aficionado.
Yes, I am 100%.
You love it. You love the coincidences.
Yes.
My gosh. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about tonight because there's so much going on.
Yeah. Some people call them conspiracy. Some people call them truth.
What's that old saying that's now a very new saying? What's that's like 6 months between it being conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact.
Correct.
It's very
now more
hard.
than ever. Yeah,
I know. There's nothing holding it back anymore. But that's just where we're at now. So I got to ask you about this because I saw when we first met each other. So we linked up on Instagram. Just got acquainted with what you're doing. Now you've got 2 apparel companies. Tell us about them real quick because I want to ask you about just who you provide them to here too.
Yeah, I'm a FIT graduate. I came here. I moved from Italy early 2000s to go to school here at FIT in the city. So I had a degree in kind of like the business side of fashion. I worked on 7th Avenue for a few years, and then I kind of like I fell in love with martial arts, and I was practicing jiu-jitsu at the Hands of Grace Academy in the city, and I tried to put my 2 passions together. And in the early 2000s, I was one of the co-founders of this brand called Manto, and it was one of the first martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial arts brands that a lot of people know if they practice the sport. And in the past few years, I was blessed with meeting a great designer called Luigi, and we started another company called Half Sumo. It's been a blast.
Half Sumo and Manto, and you've got some stuff here from there. But one of them you brought over is a duffel bag with Megadeth all over it.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the Luigi's designs for Half Sumo are like very like Japanese inspired. The style of art is called irezumi, the tattoo art, and that caught the attention of a lot of people also in the heavy metal rock sphere, and they start commissioning designs for us and special products. So the first one that we start collaborating with was Matt Heafy from Trivium. That's also how I met your brother, and he's a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner as well, on top of being a world-class singer and guitar player for Trivium. And through the first collaborations with Trivium, then we start landing other kind of like jobs. And this year, we were blessed to work with one of my all-time favorite heavy metal bands, which is Megadeth.
Okay. Were you able to talk to Dave at all?
Yes, a few times, yes.
Okay, because obviously, if we're talking about conspiracy aficionados,
Dave is amazing. So
he knows what's going on.
He knows what's going on. He knows for many, many years. Yeah. I was actually a little bit like intimidated when I met him the first time a few years back, because he's the general, right? He has this aura around him. He's like, he commands everybody. And we got a chance to go behind stage at the concert, and you really see that, he's the head of everything there. He's not just like a guitar player, performer. He's really like the CEO of the whole operation, and everything goes back to him. He has this strong persona. So I was very intimidated, but he was very kind, very thoughtful. He's a great person to talk to. Yes.
He's been doing a lot more interviews that are not music related. Obviously, whenever he talks music, everybody shows up and listens to it because they want to see how many times Metallica is mentioned and stuff like that. And that's always fun. But also, I don't know who's you talking to recently about. He did an interview recently where he went right into like spiritual possession.
Yeah, Sean Ryan.
That was a Sean Ryan show.
Yeah.
It's true. I saw that interview. It's very interesting. Yes.
Like, damn, man. Every time I said that's somebody I would love to have in the studio. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe we can make it happen. Maybe we can send him a message and see if he he wants to stop by New York.
Oh, one day, yeah, that'd be great.
Mhm.
You know, maybe Megadeth will play the Capitol Theater.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
too small for
Maybe.
them.
They just announced.
they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
no,
just
no, I think
announced.
it's Slayer.
They just announced new tour dates for next year with Iron Maiden, co-headline with Iron
Oh, wow.
Maiden.
All right.
So I think Capitol Theater, unfortunately, will be a little bit
No.
too small.
No.
They'll probably be a Mad Life or something, but yeah.
MetLife, they'll be doing like the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That's where we
Yeah.
saw Iron Maiden there a few years ago, whenever the hell that was. But if you're going out on the road with Iron Maiden, you're doing nothing less than arenas.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be hell, but that's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah. And Megadeth now just they're starting this. They announced a new album, which apparently is going to be their last album. Anthony and I were talking about it off the air a little bit before. So I think it's gonna be their farewell tour. It's going to bring a lot of people in the seats to listen to them one last time. I can't wait to see them and listen to the new songs. And
Didn't he say that they're going to be on tour for like 3 to 4 years?
yeah, I heard that too. Yes.
Yeah, I would say that this is the farewell, like in the 4th year. I would say that I would wait until like the last year of 4 to say, okay, this is it.
I heard that they're doing a cover of Ride the Lightning.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The title track, Ride the Lightning. I think they're doing a cover of it. That was what I saw. I saw that article. Everyone was talking about that about a couple of weeks ago.
Would that? I see. I don't know this. I have only been a very casual fan of Megadeth, so I don't really know all the lore with them on the road. Would this be the first time that they've ever covered a Metallica song? Or did he ever play Mechanics? Did he ever play?
Well, Mechanics. That's not really a cover. It's his version of what, it's his version of what the song of what Four Horsemen was when he wrote it.
Okay.
Like, that's more like, he wrote a lot of the songs, a lot of the riffs that were used on Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning too.
Yeah.
But Four Horsemen was a fully fledged out song, that Mechanics is, I think he wrote most of it, and then he just put his own lyrics to it, and it's obviously a much faster version. Like,
So this is gonna be
the thing. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I actually prefer Four Horsemen because it's got that. It's a little bit slower. It's a
Has
little
that
bit more
groove.
right. And but his is just straight up. Mechanics is just straight up speed metal. But I guess that's what Megadeth is all about.
That's the whole point. But so then that'll be the first time that they actually do a proper cover of a Metallica song. Okay,
I think so.
I want to see that.
I think so.
And that'll be funny because
Yeah.
he'll probably play it better than Kirk can right now, to be honest. What's going on with Kirk. He's got sausage fingers. He can't get his fingers over the fretboard right. I don't know. I'm always rooting for him, but
There's so many videos out there of Metallica playing stuff like, they'll play The Unforgiven or any number of their songs that have those intro solos, and Kirk Hammett, for some reason,
nothing else matters.
yeah, like something happens where he hits like a wrong note, or
Then he apologizes and starts.
Oh, there was that one time where he apologized and start over. But a lot of these bands do that now. I saw some clips of The Offspring playing, and like the fucking guitar solo came and it sounded like a high school band playing. I'm like, what is going on with everyone?
I know people have been really. I know that in the past people say, well, there was a time when aging musicians could just age with a little bit more dignity and sometimes people just have an off night, and the only people who know it are the ones who showed up to the show that night. But now everybody in the theater has a phone, and they're uploading it, and then the next day the story is what happened to so and so.
Right.
Where it could be 98% of the time, 99% of the time, Kirk Hammett nails the beginning of Nothing Else Matters.
Oh yeah.
But AC/DC's been getting ripped to shreds. You taught the guitar work. It's been whatever has been posted has been bad. But then again, same rule applies.
What are they? 100 years old?
They're coming close to be
mid to late 70s probably.
At this point.
They were a band. They were early 70s when they first came out.
Yeah, it's like, how much? What do you expect?
Brian Johnson is 78. Angus Young is 70.
There you go. Yeah.
So
I don't know, when I love to see these bands live, and I don't have like this high expectations for those kind of performance. I understand that they have a certain age. It's impossible at 78 to perform like somebody that's 30. I'm actually always amazed how good they perform and they play. Yeah, they'll miss a note here and there, but for 78, man, I hope I can get to that age and have that kind of energy that Brian Johnson has. Like, come on.
Right.
this is a great thing I want to show you. Then there's two stories I think we can start off with that aren't conspiracy based. We'll get to those. Don't worry. This is a video. This guy, on Instagram, his name is Gas Money One. He said, "My grandfather is 90 years old and he still is banging out these push-ups." And here's a 90-year-old man who goes and does he challenges himself to do 20 push-ups for the camera. And remember, okay, hold on one second. Where is it? Here we go, right there. Let me get you guys up on screen. Boom. And here we go. Hold on. Put Alberto up there. And where's Anthony? He's over here. My bad. All right, here we go. Take a look at this. You want to talk about being able to get on with it in your 70s. Here's 90.
On your knees. Huh? Yeah. Hunchback on your knees. That's all right. That's how I'm gonna practice.
Oh my goodness.
He's gonna do 10 watts.
No, he's gonna do a lot. 20.
Oh.
20?
Jeez.
That's pretty good.
Hey, go, Grandpa, go.
6.
Grandpa. 6.
7.
That's 7. Yeah, don't rook him.
8.
9.
Wow.
Like Bobby.
Oh.
Now he's cheating a little.
His stomach was hanging on the ground this way.
I mean, see, he pulls off 20, and anybody who's in fitness or works in fitness or is just out there working out every day, that 90% of Americans can't do 20 push-ups.
No, they can't.
They cannot. And that's just, man, I just want to be able to do this. First of all, God bless him for even making it to 90. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But then now you just got to teach him an AC/DC solo, though.
Yeah, it was actually an interesting interview today from the PBD podcast. I'm sure you know that podcast, right? So he had on the new head of the FDA agency, right? The Food and Drug Administration. And it was actually an interesting conversation. And he brought up how one of the biggest signs of health and longevity is muscle mass. So he was saying that people that actually work out, even lift weights, and they were talking actually also of TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, how now the FDA is starting to kind of like look at that with a different kind of like eye. While before it was a little bit more like demonized, not recommended. Now they're starting to think that actually is very healthy, because as the body mass increases, also your quality of life in your later years will improve. So this guy that's doing the push-ups is the perfect example of that.
Lean mass tissue. Lean tissue is extremely important, especially for metabolic health, cardiovascular health, obviously. And that's why every time it comes around to it, when I have a conversation or somebody asks me advice, because I used to do this for a living, it's just one of those things where, okay, whatever your goal is, building muscle is going to be a part of it. You have to stimulate that growth. You have to stimulate that tissue, because whether you actually want to tone up or whether you want to burn fat, whatever, building new muscle is the catalyst for burning more fat throughout the day, because that new tissue needs fuel, and it helps everything. So it's not just aesthetics. That's the cherry on top. You've
Right.
got to build. You need tension, and it can't be stressed. Really, it can't be stressed enough.
Right, I agree 100%, yeah.
Well, you want to see something else that's awesome? Take a look at this. My producer Krista sent this my way a couple of days ago. This was 4 days ago. This was sent. It was published by CBS. There's a guy. He's preparing to finish a walk he started 27 years ago. Did you see this?
No.
Okay. Carl Bushby. He made it his mission to walk around the world. Okay. and he's about to finish this odyssey 27 years after it began. Now, I don't know if let's take a look at it. It's a short clip. I thought this would be interesting for you guys to see.
Well, a man from the UK is taking the phrase the long way home to a whole new level. Setting off on his epic journey from Chile 27 years ago, he's now nearing the finish line. CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio has more. Ramy, good morning.
Hey, Michael. Yeah, good morning. And this guy, Carl Bushby, really is the ultimate globetrotter, if you will, walking across continents, but walking also across time, sponsored by a lot of outdoor brands. I mean, what have you been doing since the year 1998? Because that is when he started walking. He had two rules. He calls them simple. He couldn't use any mechanical transport, and he would not go home until he got there on foot.
Since Carl Bushby started walking non-stop across the planet in 1998, the world has changed. But human kindness, he says, has not, since his first few days on the road in Chile.
These indigenous folks just brought me in, sat me down, put plates of food in front of me, and then, tea and thank you very much, and then left. Found nothing but the best in those 27 years, which has just been remarkable.
In that time, Bushby has walked about 30,000 miles. From the age of 29, he's marked a generation of birthdays on the road and turned 56 this year, traversing up the Americas, across the U.S. to Russia, then Asia, and now Europe.
Why?
Our lives are short, and I've always wanted to live it to the fullest that I can.
Bushby has lived more than most of us might ever dare. One of the scariest things happened early on. In 2000, he crossed the dangerous Darien Gap, the only way to pass from South to Central America.
Through the middle of a war zone, and there's a whole layer above that of cartels and drug plantations, and then really, really tough jungle.
He later traversed the Bering Strait from Alaska to Siberia, becoming the first Brit to do so, and had a run-in with a polar bear.
You're in a very serious world that will kill you in 20 minutes if you mess up.
Barred from walking through Russia or Iran, he swam the Caspian Sea, the first person to do so.
Wait, what?
Nearly 200 miles in a month.
Wait. He swam 200 miles?
How?
See, there are key details that are being left out of this report so far.
And now, to get home, he may have to swim again. The English Channel from France.
But swimming sucks, dude. It just sucks. I'm not a swimmer. I don't like it.
Physical challenges aside, Bushby says there were emotional ones too.
Done it twice, lost both of them, circumstances. It's just hard to do that on the road like this.
Was there ever a time with family or close friends?
Let's go,
Back
bro.
on the road.
Carl started his TikTok just this summer and has more than 350,000 followers as he hits his home stretch.
How does it feel?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, so here's the thing I want to ask you guys. 27 years. I think you're taking breaks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's way too long.
It shouldn't take that long to walk around the world.
Yeah, I think I read something about it that he did stop in a few places for a few years where he got a job, had a girlfriend, and kind of worked for money to start the next leg. But still 27 years, man. I can't believe being away from home for 27 years. That's crazy.
I know. I want to know more about the Caspian Sea too. How long does that take? And are you?
Was he like on a boat and then like he swam?
Is the boat like next to them and he has to roll onto the boat and take a nap?
Right. I can only guess because I've seen other people that have done this kind of endurance stuff. Sometimes as they swim, they drag a small raft where they can sleep on when they're resting and they have food. And sometimes they have also people that accompany them, that follow them on proper boats in case of rescue. Well, I don't know. Maybe if he did it solo, man, he's a savage. I don't know how to describe it.
It could be.
Wow.
You're a bit of a world traveler yourself, though.
I travel. I mean, I hiked a lot too in strange places, but not to that level, man. That's next level, man.
What's the strangest place you've ever been?
I don't know. Just thinking about it. I've been to South Africa. I've been to some poor places there that were really mind-opening. One of the craziest places I've been, though, it was just a few weeks ago, was in Brazil. I had been to Brazil before, but We went for the 100 years of Jiu Jitsu. It was this big event in Rio de Janeiro. And the crazy part was this. While we were there, a lot of crazy things happened. On my way back to the airport, the final day, that's when the day that the BOPE, the special police, like the SWAT team, raided the Complexo Alemão, the Favela Alemão, which is one of the biggest favelas in Rio. And within the course of 24 hours, they killed 238 people. And I tell you, it's crazy because we were on the way at the airport, and all of a sudden, like, all the cars come to a screeching halt. And I was kind of like dozing off in the passenger side. And all of a sudden, I look at the driver. My driver is scared. It's like, what's going on? And he's like, banditos, banditos. It's like, what? There's the bandits ahead. And I kind of look ahead and I hear noises, like gunshots. And I can't really figure out. Everybody makes a quick U-turn and they try to just like scuttle away. And we see fire in the distance. And when we finally get to the airport and they have the news cameras, we saw that basically there was like civil war. Like the 2,000 police officers tried to raid the favela, and the drug dealers, the drug lords there, did not back away. They thought that it was like their last stand, and they start shooting back. And the drug lords even had drones, similar to like the Ukraine war, and they were launching grenades from the drones to try to kill the police. And somehow like this has spilled over to the highway, and they start shooting and just trying to kill people on the road as a diversion, and we were kind of like caught in the middle of the crossfire.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to tell you. Yeah.
Well, I remember there was something. I have to go check out the dates right here. And I remember about a police raid, that there was a giant police raid in the favelas out there.
Yeah.
But let me see here. I see here more October 30th.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Al Jazeera because it's just so 130 killed.
That was the first day, yeah.
That was the first day.
Yeah, first day. Yeah, it lasted almost 2 days, and the 238 was the official count.
Wow. Yeah, no, we didn't get round the clock coverage on this one. A state police operation targeting major drug gang in Brazil has resulted in the deaths of 132 people in low-income neighborhoods in Rio de Janeiro. The deadliest raid in the country's history. Authorities initially said fewer than half that number had been killed in the favelas, the Portuguese term for slum. The protests against excessive police force had since broken out, and activists are calling for Rio's governor to resign over what local people have described as a slaughter. But what you're saying is after this initial reporting, there was at least 100 more deaths.
Yes, correct. So Brazil is actually a very interesting country, and it's in the middle of a big... I don't know. I think they're really fighting for the core, for the soul of their nation. You know, we have this image of Brazil with the beach, the samba, the carnival, and this kind of stuff. But I think in the past few years, there's really been a big division between multiple aspects of society, from the economic classes, from the rich, and the playboys, so-called, and the favelas, the poor people, but also from the left and the right in Brazil. So if we think that there's a little bit of a division here in the U.S., and you talk often about it in your podcast, but in Brazil it's crazy, the division between the left and the right. And they just actually imprisoned again today or yesterday the former right-wing president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, which was kind of like considered the Trump of Brazil. He went after corruption both at the government level and at the judiciary level. And he got imprisoned again. They tried to assassinate him during his campaign a few years back. And the left has such a stronghold on both the people and the media. And a lot of people say that's corruption. That's due to corruption. A lot of people point also to the fact that Brazil is somewhat of a narco state that resembles a little bit Colombia in the 90s.
Well, I mean, what we get out of Mexico these days too is crazy.
Yeah,
and you think about everything from Mexico on down south. I mean, maybe I can't give you a profile of each Central and South American country down there. But what it seems to me is that, I mean, we talk about how there's definitely vested interest. There are interests that are running this country that are, antithetical to whatever people may need, want, or what is best for liberty. We always talk about that. Listen, there's the government. There is everything that's wrong with the government on the ground level. There's all of the media. There's the surface level conflicts, the cultural bullshit, and then beneath that is just a huge hulking machine that exists to perpetuate its own existence. And that machine still has some decorum. It's a lot more psychological in its activity and its behavior. But once you get Mexico and further down south in Mexico, it's all just it's just paramilitary.
Yeah,
it's all just they're, like you said, narco states. These cartels that are at war with any a lot of the politicians that are owned by the cartel. I mean, we hear about it all the time,
right?
And they just have it's a little bit more out in the open and aggressive. Over here, we still have our delusions in place to a certain degree, but I don't know. The seams are starting to come undone a little bit more.
Yeah, the value of life down there is unfortunately different from here. It's very low, and also the disinformation campaigns are very, very strong. I saw like the propaganda at work while I was there. When this was happening, I turned on their CNN, and they kept talking about how this is not how you solve the problems of the favela and such. And they were kind of pushing kind of like a narrative against the police. But ultimately, when there's this kind of violence within these neighborhoods, and people can't really live their normal lives because the drug cartels control these poor neighborhoods, and they're not giving up their machine guns willingly. You need the police force to come in to try to kind of like dismantle those operations. If you want to give poor people that live there a fair chance to a good life. Well, I saw the media there being very one-sided against the police. Furthermore, I'll tell you one strategy that I saw that in the following days was exposed. So what happened when every corpse that was gathered after the shootout with the police was lined up on the street at the bottom of the favela. So you saw these images of these bodies, 238 people just lined up more or less, right? And when the news started broadcasting, you saw that the bodies were in underwear, with flip-flops and this kind of stuff. So they looked very much like just regular people in the favela that got caught in the crossfire, right? But independent journalists in Brazil were showing instead how the night before, when the bodies were lined up, they were actually all in military fatigues. They all belonged to these drug cartels. But somebody came and removed this paramilitary uniforms, so that when in the morning the media will come, the national media will come, they will look like just regular folks that got killed, so that the blame will be put onto the BOPE, on the special SWAT team that came in. But people recognized by the tattoos that they had and by videos that were taken the night before that all bodies lined up were from this drug gang, paramilitary gang, man. Comando Vermelho.
Wow.
So these tactics are there. Now, if somebody has a little bit of an interest and goes look a little bit more in depth, sees where the seams are coming apart. But for the most people that are just there consuming the news while they're busy with their everyday life, this doesn't get noticed. And therefore, a certain kind of narrative keeps being pushed. Yeah, it's terrible.
First of all, we're way too distracted over here to even follow along with what's happening in our own country.
Right.
So it was really just passing headlines every once in a while that there was clashes with police and state forces and cartel, whatever the hell it was. They kept it to body counts and all that other stuff. And like I said, I hadn't even seen the rest of it. But wowee. Take off the fatigues and put the flip flops on and talk about wow. Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's all over the place. Can't trust anything.
Yeah. Sometimes the real war is not fought with bullets, but it's fought with information.
Well, they say the first casualty of war is the truth.
Yeah, that's correct.
A lot of times you have to create the predicate for war, and I think that's the story of the last 100 some odd years, is creating the predicate for war in the media and ginning up public support. Now they don't even give a shit who supports what. You know, especially in the United States, we haven't needed a formal declaration of war in 80 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, what did you guys see? You guys know about Slender Man?
Yeah, a little bit. Yes.
I wanted to bring. Did you guys hear about the girl, the Slender Man stabbed that she escaped?
From prison, yeah.
They found her.
Okay.
They found her not too long afterwards.
Okay.
What do you think about stuff like that? I mean, if we're talking about perception and the the real weapon here being employed is that of the mind. What do you think about things beyond that, where the mind can actually project something that was an internet creation like Slender Man into very real, tangible realms where people start feeling like they're being compelled by this internet character to go out there and commit murder? Do you ever give any thought to that? That spooky shit?
I mean, so what's the story about it again? This is like, it's psychologically affected people to where they're saying that they were influenced by this character.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Here this is from this week. Madison, Wisconsin. The search for a missing Wisconsin woman who almost killed her 6th grade classmate more than a decade ago to please horror character Slender Man ended Sunday night when police discovered her sleeping outside an Illinois truck stop. Morgan Geyser, 23, was found at a truck stop. Let's see here. This was back. Let's see here. I want to bring you back to the start. Let's see.
Well, back in the day, I think there were more than one case, right? Now she said that she almost attempted to murder her friend. Well, I think there were other cases too, right? There's a lot of like copycat crimes like that once it gets into the media, right? So without going into paranormal stuff and ghosts and this kind of stuff, I think once something goes into the media, it goes to show that it's just just due to large numbers, that there's going to be some people that ignore the news, some people that just read the news, but there's always going to be some people that act on the news, right?
Yes.
So maybe, I don't know her psychological profile. Maybe she was just like a weak person. But this is why, I always believe that it's very important what we put out there. We're always responsible, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, we just think, it's just I'm writing something online, it's just online, it's just letters. It's letters maybe for us, letters and words, but there's going to be somebody that's in a special state of mind that might act upon it,
That is the biggest weapon. That is the biggest asset in the war that we currently find ourselves in. It's a war that some people would debate is even happening, but it's so obvious and it's a psychological one. And at this point, anybody can really trigger anybody. But what this, I don't know. This has all the makings. If you're going to say, what if you're going to have any kind of like state involvement with something like Slender Man, what would that be? Well, I mean, there's been plenty of instances of these kinds of things being done as psychological experiments, and to see what still makes people tick, and how anything like this could be born from any of those creepypasta sites. This in particular. This is back in 2009. Here, Slender Man was created online by Eric Knudsen, 2009, as a mysterious figure photo edited in everyday images of children at play. He grew into a popular boogeyman appearing in video games, online stories, and a 2018 movie. So essentially, they're. This person said that they're trying to appease Slender Man. This is after a sleepover. It said it's about a dozen times that they almost killed this girl with the stabbing. I think there might have actually been death somewhere. I don't know, but it's one of those things where it's a cartoon character that was born from the internet, and some people went crazy. Now, I don't think that there's anything real. I don't think that there's going to be anything that materializes. I don't think we're going to catch a Slender Man on tape. But as far as what goes on inside of people's minds and how it gets there, and all the ways that it's projected, shit. I mean, and that leads us to UFO stuff too. A lot of people believe that a lot of that is psychological. There are people who, I have friends who talk about, they document abduction cases,
right?
with absolute certainty about this being a real intergalactic or interspatial kind of a phenomenon. Others say, well, the CIA admitted that there was they're behind some of the abductions now too. So what is it? Is it a mix of everything or what?
Yeah. Also, if we want to go a little bit deeper, like just like in philosophy and stuff like this, going back to a little bit like Slenderman too, we never know where ideas come from, right? Sometimes we think that we create the ideas, but maybe there's some also in philosophy. You go back also to some stories of like Plato and Socrates. They say that sometimes the ideas exist independent of us. They had this concept of pure ideas in ether. And so artists or philosophers sometimes, and you probably, Anthony, being a musician, where does the inspiration come from? Like, did you really create that song, or that was something kind of like that was already in the ether that you kind of like grabbed and brought into reality? You heard, they were like, there's some stories about like Michelangelo when he sculpted like the David and this kind of stuff. He said, I didn't sculpt the David. The David was already in the marble. I just remove, the extra parts. So even with Slenderman, maybe the fact that it connected with so many people that it compelled them to then murder somebody else is because maybe these ideas we're all connected somehow. And maybe these ideas, maybe the name is not Slenderman, but this idea of like the boogeyman is something that's genetically encoded in us, that maybe that author brought out into the public sphere by writing, those posts online. But somehow, because it's something that we have in us, is an idea that pre-existed, maybe other people find it like very truthful and very real, and then it compels them to act. Am I being clear or no?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Crystal clear. That's, The ether, we're actually just talking about the ether as far as, clearing your mind, especially if you have writer's block or something like that. And that imagery of actually, plucking something or, saying, let me just sleep on it or whatever. And sometimes you wake up and an idea is just like sitting on your chest.
Isn't it crazy how it works? Yeah.
I know. It's almost like pulling an apple from a tree. And like, all right, well, I'll polish this one up, see what I can do with it.
Well, that's how I think about with lyrics too. Whenever I do write lyrics, I always think like, man, it's like the combination of words are there. They're there. It exists somewhere. It's there.
Right.
Like I always think of it in that way. Like this is like it's just a matter of me landing on each piece and putting together the puzzle because it's there.
Yeah, I feel the same too. Often we develop new products with the company or stuff like this, and I feel like it was always there. It was just, it was given to me, the concept of the muse. But it can be positive, but sometimes it could be also about negative stuff, right? I don't know, these negative energies or ideas, and then people put them into reality, and then other people get inspired by it.
Okay, so then I don't know if you watched this episode that I did. I did 2 episodes with Jerry Marzinski, and he's a former psychiatrist, psychotherapist. He worked in some really high security places with the criminally insane.
Wow,
and he was talking specifically about he dealt with people who were schizophrenic and, of course, been locked up because they committed violent crimes. And he goes as far as not only saying that most people who are schizophrenic are actually really in some way spiritually tormented, that these voices are not being generated inside of them, but without, and he went as far as saying that, I don't know, most of our inner dialogue, especially if it's negative, that's not us, and it's spirits. And, I struggle with how much of that could be so, only because I know that inner monologue is, it could be just one of many bad habits or good habits that you train yourself to do. The things I say out loud actually mimic a lot of the things I say. And I criticize myself out loud a lot. And I hear that, it's so, what came first? Am I listening to the demons speaking in my ear and then just putting it out in there? Or is it just, but on the other hand, there are things that do feel spiritually foreign. Like sometimes you feel like you're being harassed, especially if it's in a time where, I don't know, you've hit a plateau and you got to break through and you kind of feel like, all right, well, here's the test. There's always some kind of a test before you move on to a next step. And I keep that in mind, but I don't know what you guys would think about that the voices that you hear in your head are not yours. The way he said it was, if you take a transistor radio,
right,
and you smash it on the ground, the voice from the radio is not inside of there.
It's correct. The signal is still there. Yeah.
That's the receiver. So, what do you guys think about that?
I can see that. I mean, everything is so, when you really just stop to think about the way life is and reality is formed and just what we are. I mean, what are we anyway? We're like our physical bodies, like our minds, and we can't see thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't see the endless file cabinet in our brains of all the memories that we've collected since we were babies, but they're there, and we can pick them out like anytime we want, like in a matter of milliseconds. So, the idea of us being like this kind of like vessel at times for something that isn't, that kind of like we're picking up other things in the environment makes sense. I can see it making sense because why not? Life is weird as it is.
Very.
Yeah, I think I grew up very like believing in a mechanical world. But as I got older, experiences in life shaped me to believe more like also in a spiritual world. I think the world is more complex than we really understand it, and there's more levels to what we really see. Like your example of like the transistor, and Anthony, also what you said, I identify with it 100%. I think obviously there's a lot of talk now about how our brain is actually, we evolved to kind of like survive in our 3D environment, right? So our eyes, our ears were meant for when we were like living more like in a jungle per se to survive. So we kind of like the brain developed in a way to ignore other signals, right? There's a lot more signals around us, a lot more energies, right? But if we were distracted by all this noise, we would have been eaten by a lion, for example. So we didn't pass down. The person that probably had that capability to perceive more of the world, different kind of frequencies, radiations and stuff, did not pass down their genetic material because it was not essential for the survival of the species. But the world is more complex than what we really see. I think there's a lot of other frequencies, that we don't perceive, but that are there. Look around, just like our cell phones, right? Look how much data is around, but we don't decode it. But the cell phone signal is there. Our apparatus, our brains, our receiver does not receive it, don't decode it, but the phone does, right? And so I think there's a lot more energies, maybe even intelligent energies around us that live in a different kind of scale, in a different kind of frequency, and we didn't evolve to see it because it was not conducive to us surviving.
We filter it.
But I think it's there. I had a few experiences in my life that made me think that it's probably so. Yeah.
Are you something like telepathic or just something where you're thinking the same thing or if somebody else or
that happened through life? Yes. Yeah.
You see, last week it actually became a resounding theme of a few episodes in a row, and that was EMF, the impact of EMF, sensitivity, how sensitive some people are, and whether just outside of normal native electromagnetic frequencies that's just generated from Earth. Everything else that we are living with, even down to even just first generation technology, power grid technology. Like, you know, you want to talk about UFO and lost technology or things that we were kind of like sitting on and nothing's really going on. I always reference to just walking outside this building and just looking up, and before you are able to enjoy the night sky, you have to filter out a rat's nest of all these electrical wires, things that, and it's like bad too. Around here, it's just tangled rat's nests, wires. And you know what? You think about what is the currents that are flowing through those things. I mean, when you park underneath one, you lose radio connection. You know, whenever I park outside the studio or something like that, if there is any street parking there, if I'm listening to the local sports radio or something, I'm just listening to whoever's talking there. The Yankee game's on. I mean, you roll right underneath some of the lines there, and boom, you go static. And then 2 feet forward, you get it back clear as a bell. I mean, it interferes with everything, and that's old world technology. Now you had the advent of 2, 3, 4, 5G. I saw Popular Mechanics writing about how 6G is actually going to provide, who knows what the hell this means, provide a little bit like network connectivity generated by people's bodies. Like we are actually physically going to be part of the network apparatus to get the so, and that's just cell phones, like you said. There's the Wi-Fi's, there's God knows what else, and we were asking the questions last week. What does that do to a person's quality of sleep, their dreams? What does it do to their ability to connect to the ether properly and extract some of that information that just might be out there, like, in Willy Wonka's factory, when they have they're sending Wonka vision, they're sending the chocolate bar through the television waves. Who the hell knows? There's so much pancaked on top of us at this point. So you're right. And how the hell do you really narrow it down?
Yeah, it's hard to measure. Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying, that the world is very complex.
Yeah. I know. So you have actually, speaking of abductions and the CIA, you have a CIA story, don't you?
Oh, yeah, kind of, yes. This is something interesting. So because I know you like a lot of politics, international economic stuff, and CIA stuff, I brought you a book. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see.
Yeah, what is that? So I know John Perkins.
You read this book? Okay.
Years ago I did, but that looks like it's. This
is the newer edition.
I'm going to say that's a lot thicker than the one I had. Right. I have one that's half the size.
So I brought it. I just signed it for you, to the Quite Frankly family. But I tell you the story about this book. So in 2005, 2006, I was a student at the Renzo Gracie Jiu Jitsu Academy in the city. And in the jiu-jitsu world, you meet a lot of interesting people. You meet a lot of soldiers too, law enforcement, a lot of soldiers. And I had this friend that I met back in the day. He was a very interesting guy. His name is Mike. I'll just say the first name. And he was at that time a former Navy SEAL. He was a young man, but he had just came back from Iraq. He had just finished his tour of duty with the SEALs and this kind of stuff, and he was starting to work more for private sector mercenary work, contractors, and this kind of stuff. And he knew that I liked a lot of this, international economics and how people deal and negotiate. And he gifted me this book back then. He told me, Alberto, read this book by John Perkins. This is how the world really works. Okay, so we can go into the book, but I'll tell you Mike's story. A year after he gave me the book, I get a call from his sister, and she told me that he had passed away. Yeah. And I was like, how did he pass away? What happened? And he's like, he passed away apparently in a car accident in Cyprus. Cyprus, I mean, that's a very strange place why would he be in Cyprus? Makes no sense. He lived most of the time in New York, between New York and the DC area. And so she said, you can Google it, look online, it will come up. So I Google it, and this there was only one article that talked about his death, and it was this online, the online version of a news journal from Cyprus. It was kind of called like the Cyprus Daily, and it reported just a few lines, U.S. citizen died at 3 a.m. car crash in Cyprus, such and such, and it was signed by a journalist. So I was like, that's kind of strange, and I wrote this journalist for more information, and the guy came back to me, and it was like, no, we don't have any other information, and that's it. That's all we have. But somehow my spidey senses had gone up, and I was like, "This is really weird." First of all,
what did your friend do for a living? Because there's a lot of very high privacy economic activity out there in Cyprus. It's almost like one of those Cayman Island type of locations.
Well, he was a former Navy SEAL, and I'm pretty sure that he worked for some of the intelligence agencies in the U.S. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that he was going to deny territories to do whatever intelligence activities was needed at that time. And so when I started looking at my friends that knew Mike, and we wanted to find out a little more really what happened, because it looked very suspicious. We was like, first of all, why is there a newspaper in Cyprus that's in English? Cyprus is half Greek, half Turkish. Why is there something online that's in English? And then I tried to Google information about the person that wrote the news article, and nothing came up. It was like a ghost. And within a month or two of us inquiring, that whole website got shut down.
What?
And that was it. Yes, it disappeared. It was really, in my opinion, a front. It was just a front for some U.S. intelligence agency. They needed some kind of internet presence to put false information, false articles. If just for propaganda, or also if something happened to one of their agents overseas, they wanted to report the news so that if somebody inquired, they'll satisfy their curiosity and put that to rest. But we were kind of disappointed because we lost a friend, and so we inquired a little bit more. But anyway, so in my opinion, that was just like a fake news outlet that was put there to just push some kind of ideology, or just some kind of.
Did the article disappeared, or any trace of the actual news outlet is gone?
The news outlet as well. I think as people start inquiring, because a lot of people at the academy start pestering them to try to kind of guys, come on, give us more information. What's going on? They decided to just shut it down and disappear. It was later told to me a few years later that the family found out that somebody that was involved in the intelligence agency finally came and talked to them one-on-one, that Mike had passed away somewhere in the Middle East doing some kind of intelligence action, But when he gifted me the book and this happened, then it made me kind of give a little more value of what the book talked about, because when he gifted me the book back then, it's like, Alberto, this is really how the world works. And he was probably involved in some of these actions or similar actions around the world as the ones that John Perkins talks about. So I wanted to give to you the book. You already read it, but I thought it is one of the best books that I read about this kind of stuff, about disinformation, this shady international relations, and it was very, very interesting.
What I'll do is, because like I said, that one I can tell that's a new edition, because mine is half the size, and what I'll do is I want to read that one, and I'll give away my old one on the air soon, because that book, I think he wrote another one called Hoodwinked. Mm-hmm. John Perkins, that book, it is a very easy read. It's a mind-opening read, and it is illuminating as far as understanding why nations like Brazil are the way they are.
Yes,
You talk about that.
Yeah.
It was also why when we started seeing what was going on in Africa with China, with I said, oh, this is economic hitman shit. Well, this was years ago, maybe like 2014, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Whenever it started becoming apparent, these all of these headlines, these stories that were documenting these deals that China was cutting with African nations, especially coastal African nations.
Fourth nations, yes.
They go in there. They say, "Hey, listen, we want to modernize your energy grid. We want to bring your dusty little African nation into the 21st century and give you modernized power and everything else. So we're gonna give you electric lights, and we're gonna take you out of mud huts, and we're going to build things and whatever." And okay, well, and here's the payback you can give us. Oh, and they give you a nice little rate, knowing for sure these nations are not going to be able to pay them back.
Repay the loans.
And
yes.
once they start defaulting on the loans, it's like, no worries. We can recoup this some other way. That's when they start, that's when the African nations start coughing up leases for rare earth minerals, and they actually start giving exclusivity deals.
That's correct.
For them for the Chinese to use their ports.
Yes.
I mean, everybody does it. But when China started, this is John Perkins right here.
So the insidious part is that, and John Perkins talks about it, is that when these deals are kind of offered, the data that's given to the African nations or the South American nation or the East nations, the data is incorrect. They're promised a kind of percentage growth that will never come to be realized. So they'll say, okay, just borrow this money from the World Bank, borrow like $20 billion, you'll build this dam. This dam will produce this kind of amount of electricity, it will help you, grow your infrastructure. But the data that they give them is incorrect. So they'll borrow the money. The growth never really happens to the rate that it was promised. And now it's where the insidious part starts happening. In all these contracts that they signed with the World Bank, and especially with USAID, and this is why this made me think about this book, because, earlier in the year when Marco Rubio became Secretary of State, they kind of pulled the plug on USAID. But John Perkins talks about USAID as well, how they provided these loans and this kind of like soft power across the globe. But anyway, the insidious part is that within the contracts, there's a clause that if the nation is not able to repay the debt, now foreign emissaries from a different nations, unelected, can come to that nation and decide how the yearly budget is allocated, how the resources, who's going to exploit the resources. So it's a way to disenfranchise the people of those nations. People, somebody unelected by the people of that country now become the de facto rulers of the country. They decide where the resources, how the resources are going to be exploited, where the money is going to go. And it's a very insidious plan.
Oh, and
that's just the first phase. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then also another layer of that is things like the World Economic Forum. When you hear someone like Klaus Schwab talk about how all of their youth group members from the past, all these young little proteges, are now installed as cabinet members in major countries all over the place.
Isn't Zelensky one of them, or Macron as well? Right?
Macron, definitely. Canada. I mean, they're all over. So there's the economic engines. Then there's this. How about this? We're going to take a little bit of a real quick. I want to go to a intermission real quick so we can come back, and I want to get into this a little bit more and a few other things. We have to do this Candace Owens thing because now she's taking a couple of weeks off. Okay, so I just want to throw it out there since we been on that a little bit, but I also want to remind everybody at home, tonight is the last night to get in on the $500 plus giveaway that's going to be tomorrow. Keto Brains, that is going to be tomorrow night. I am going to be announcing the winner myself because I don't think Molly can actually stop by. And you can use promo code TURKEY or any other Quite Frankly code at the checkout at ketobrains.com. Bag of Keto Brains, full body vibration plate. There's the bottle of the BPC 157 peptides. There's electrolyte salts. There's creatine packs, a bottle of Montana whiskey, and I think elk jerky. Could be elf jerky for all I know.
Elf jerky.
Elf jerky. So I just want to thank, again, and I want to just thank Molly too, who really keeps going above and beyond for this audience. 3 years now, I don't put, if I can put anything in my coffee, it's Keto Brains. 100%. And this keeps me locked in at the office, working out, in the studio. If you want samples, email me. But tonight's the last
Delicious.
night. It is. It really is delicious.
It's delicious.
Do you have your own bag?
I don't, but I mean, I consider it a treat anytime I go over and you put it in my coffee.
Well, I'll make sure I put it in your coffee for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And I'll get you a bag too.
All right. Perfect.
So, Alberto, did you have any at the?
I did. They were really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll get you some too.
Yeah.
Especially right before you roll.
Let's do it.
Man, there you go. Well, you guys, we got to talk about that because Anthony rolled with you for the first time yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
First time.
He did great.
I've never had any experience doing jiu-jitsu or anything like that. Nothing. So I mean, it was I was completely surrendering to the experience, to the the whole thing, and it was great. It was a great experience.
Where do you work? Where is that again?
So I teach out of Henson Gracie Rockland in Rockland County, just across the river from here. We're an affiliate school of the famous Henson Gracie Academy from Midtown, New York.
Okay.
Henson Gracie is one of the most famous members of the Gracie family of UFC fame. His grandfather was the first non-Japanese guy to learn jiu-jitsu and judo back in the 30s and the 40s. And so I had the honor and the pleasure to learn from him 20 years ago, jiu-jitsu. And Omar, my old friend from the academy in the city, and I teach there at Henson Gracie Rockland. It's a lot of fun. It's a good space, a lot of people from all walks of life. You have some young students that want to be pro athletes, but we also have some people that are like in their 50s and the 60s that come in to just they start by just wanting to lose weight, and then they fall in love with the jiu-jitsu as a martial art, as a lifestyle, and I see how they transform, how they get stronger, how their body transforms out to the mind. It's a great sport.
What are you? What do you think, Ant? That's something you're going to do more often now?
Yeah, I think
better,
so.
He better.
It was. I mean, I think in my mind before I went, I kind of overcomplicated it. I was thinking, what if like people they get frustrated that they're working with someone who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. But then I realized after the first couple of demonstrations that was how they set up the class of like doing certain moves, and he put me with some people that he told them, hey, this is my first time. So everyone was cool. Then everyone just started to just spar, just switch partners and just just go free for all, and or freestyle. And at first I was like, well, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but then I just said, you know what, I'm gonna pretend like I know what I'm doing. And sure enough, I started to kind of just pick up on it, and I realized that even though I didn't know what I was doing, it was still good for the other person to be up against me, because they were still getting good practice. Because think about it, if you're ever in a situation where where you ever have to use any of this stuff with just like a regular person or something, I mean, they're not going to know what the hell they're doing.
Oh, that's why I love it. It's also why I love wrestling with Aurora sometimes there too, because anybody that you can be around that's just kind of like flailing and unpredictable. That's
it's very primal and
it's very primal,
instinctual too.
If you see animals, they don't box, they don't kick. Animals wrestle. Especially us, we have hands that you can grab. Wrestling is very natural, and the fact that you kind of fond wrestle also with your daughter is I think it's very important that kids learn from a young age to understand kind of how their body moves in space. And I think later, if somebody wants, they can take it more on seriously. But I think especially every boy, every man should know how to wrestle. It goes back to when we were like in a tribe, and this kind of stuff. It's really
we might be going back there again.
Okay.
We might be going back to the tribes again.
Some pros and cons. Have you watched the latest UFC with Makhachev? Man, this Dagestani guys are winning everything. Dagestan is a province in Russia, from Caucasus Mountain, and they live small numbers, like maybe the U.S. was 200 years ago. But these people are unbeatable. And not only that, they seem extremely happy. They don't live in a modern society like ours with super big cities. They probably don't have the latest cell phone, but they have this very strong family connections, this tribe that everybody relies on. And you see them walking around. Sometimes they're champions, they make millions of dollars, and they wear just a regular t-shirt, They don't have fancy cars because they understand the true value of life, the personal connections, that your word is bond. And, not this materialistic, consumistic kind of stuff that you see other UFC champions fall prey of.
Well, that's just also reflective of where our culture is. For a while, I mean, people have been writing about consumerism for decades, well before we were born, any of us were born. People warning against us becoming what we are right now for a while. And then I think what's really makes it worse on top of it is just the social media aspect of it, because there needs to be it's part of the lifestyle to be able to put yourself out there as one thing or another. And it's, there are definitely, it makes the contrast for the people you're talking about right there, who are in parts of the world where men and women are happier, closer to not a primitive state, but closer to natural function. And you can tell that they are, even just their will, you're talking about happiness, but also an indomitable will. And then just kind of like joyously shoulder their responsibilities and their challenges, and they excel with that. We're very emotionally unstable. Mm-hmm. We really are, and it's we're either chimping out completely or we're almost like lackadaisical and sleepy. It's either we're enraged or completely lethargic. It's crazy.
We burn ourselves out.
I know. We're totally overstimulated over here.
Yeah.
Totally overstimulated. And we overstimulated, burn ourselves out, we crash, and then we repeat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think there was a big change when we went from like an agricultural society to more like an industrial society. I think, when we lived more like, we were like a agricultural society, we lived farther away from cities. We lived in close bonds with our family members. People had a lot of kids, so they had, they really loved that kind of environment. But then again, once we start moving towards an industrialized society, people start moving more to the cities. And initially they created a lot of wealth. So people got attracted to these big cities from the farms. But then the big cities start breaking those family bonds. People start having less kids because now the kids, before the kids will help in the fields, now in the city, a kid is a nuisance, especially if both the mother and the father have to go work in a factory. And so, there was a big societal transformation when we went from agricultural to industrial. Yeah. And there were definitely some kind of benefits, right? People became somewhat wealthier, but also became disconnected from a more natural life, from their families. So when you're lonely, then you become more of a consumer,
Yeah,
so,
but did you? And I'm sure you saw this. Then hold on, wait, 40. Hold on. Let me see here. This was not too long ago. Yeah. Here it is. From 19 hours ago. Now you're just saying, think about what happened to us when we went from agrarian societies, agricultural societies into the Industrial Revolution. Of course, the opportunities that it created, created a lot of wealth. It raised the standard of living for everybody. Nobody's talking
Lots
about
of benefits. Yes.
You know, I don't want to go back. Nobody wants to go back to living in teepees. That just needs to be said. But
I agree.
we are in a situation right now where even before the advent of all this AI stuff, they were talking about. We're talking about how wealth has been illegally redistributed in a way where it has completely taken a person's. It has destroyed generations of people from taking responsibility in their lives, and it had gone so far beyond helping people in need, because you really get the help that you need from local sources of help, from neighbors, from friends, from churches, from, if need be, state and local governments. If you have, programs for helping people with assistance of one thing or another. So we already had a culture that was being destroyed by design through old world government spending that was never supposed to be done. Now, people like Elon Musk and everybody else out there who are talking about the advent of all these new AI innovations, they're saying that AI could replace 40% of American jobs. And that's not even just saying that 40% of the jobs that people are working, even though there's so many people who don't anymore. Not people who are out of work, people who just don't work.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's not just that these jobs are going to be made obsolete. It's that people are going to need to work less, and that the wealth that is going to be generated just from the technology itself, that people are going to be given less responsibilities, that they're not going to feel that fire under their ass to go out there. And I wish that there was no fire under my ass. You know, with a fire under my ass, I don't want. I just want the fire under my ass that comes around every March when I have to write one check or another to the IRS. I just get rid of that for me, because what you're really taking out is the fire of life from people. Ambition. Right. That's what's going to be extinguished here. Not it's okay to have a little overhead. It's okay to give people a reason to have to go out there and exceed the expectations of paying the power bill. Maybe, I'm all for finding a way to lower the price of utilities here, but just to say that people are not going to have to work, period, is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head. I think, though, progress sometimes is not always linear. And I think we have to be humble enough to understand that sometimes we have always this idea that the future is always going to be better, and we're progressing like in the right direction. But I think we have to be humble enough to recognize sometimes that we can also take a step back and analyze and improve. Yeah, because these are big, major societal changes, and we don't know if some stuff will be for the better, but some stuff probably not.
No.
What that made me think of was I was watching Christmas Vacation over the weekend, and there was the part where Clark is in his office, and the big boss comes by and tells him he has to write a report. It says, layman's terms. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. The first thought that came to mind is, that job is no longer available, because that's something you can just get ChatGPT to do,
right?
Or any number of AI programs.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much that's going on. I mean, you think about this. Every time we cross the bridge going into Manhattan, I think of how that used to be somebody's, I'm going to work, honey. Somebody, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago was supporting a family from that toll booth job.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am so happy for what Easy Pass has given us as far as being able to get over a bridge and not sitting there. I mean, listen, it was a good innovation. But that's also just the way that that's just things that are obsolete being replaced with things that make a lot more sense. I get that happens, but you can go. What is it? I think there's if you go to the Fortune 500 or the Fortune 50 from 1950. You go take a look at all of the companies that are still around. You know, how it's just been, so many of them have just been erased because it's not necessary anymore. You know, when your entire job can be replaced by some sort of a widget. And yeah, I don't know. That's just that's the craziest thing. Hey, you know what? We're going to open up the lines. We're going to open up the lines. Call us right now, 914-200-0269. Also, ladies and gentlemen, remember, if you're lurking, you will kill every channel that you love. When I say please leave a like and a comment, talk in the chat room. If you're watching this after the fact, put your thoughts into the comment section. That's something you got to take with you to anywhere that you enjoy your time at on the internet. It's serious. Lurking now kill. It used to be something where you can just you can't do it anymore. Doesn't mean you have to go crazy. Just interact a couple of clicks. Make sure you like it, and also vote in the chat room poll because it's still on right now. And while we open up the lines for calls, I'm going to check the super chats, and I'm going to see how that poll is doing. Now, what was the poll for all of you out there? Here it is. Let me see. Here. The poll was, if you could download complete knowledge or skill on any one subject, and this was actually suggested by Casey in the Discord. I thought it was a great question. If you can download any kind of knowledge, complete knowledge on one subject, which would you choose? Would it be hand-to-hand combat, true world history, engineering, or, of course, something else? And you can put that in the chat room. You can call in with that, actually. If you want to call in, 914-200-0269. Give us a buzz and let us know if you are the 13% that said it would be something else. Let us know what that is. Right now, true world history is winning at 48%, with engineering being 22% and 16% hand-to-hand combat. So what about you guys? Would it be to just know the true story of the world?
Oh, yeah. I'm so sick of not knowing. I'm so sick of not knowing anything. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know everything. I don't care if my head explodes.
That's what happened to Kate Blanchett in Indiana Jones, the fourth one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She finally got all the knowledge, and she just started screaming. Her head exploded. What about you, Alberto?
Look, they're all like appealing, but I think I'll go for engineering.
Engineering.
Strangely, yeah.
Well,
it's interesting, man. I wish I knew how to build stuff, or improve on certain things. I find fascinating that some people can build rockets, or people actually know how to build a cell phone. I don't know. Like, I feel sometimes we're all just like freaking monkeys, like on a school bus, in the back of the school bus. And there's one guy that actually knows how to drive the school bus, and we're all just taken for the ride. But I wish I knew how to really build that stuff. It would be amazing.
I know.
I can see that.
And I know. That's what, see, I don't know where I would go with this. I think it probably would, true world history would make my job a lot easier.
Yeah, that's interesting, though. That's amazing.
I mean, that would be a huge, a professional, just a boon for me. But I don't know.
I would like to, hand-to-hand combat. It's great too.
Yeah, like when Neo downloaded Kung Fu and everything else.
To just be like,
I know
complete,
Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu. Yeah, that's awesome. I would
to
just
be
like
action movie level untouchable, where no matter what, you're like, you can walk in with no weapons whatsoever and get out of,
like Tony Jaa.
Yeah, like I don't know, like John Wick shit or something. Like,
come learn jiu-jitsu, man. Come learn jiu-jitsu.
Right.
That's the key.
Right.
They say it's the closest thing to being a real life Jedi.
Yeah,
I can see that. Well, you know what was cool about it? I will say, like, it's like, it was like my focus was completely on that. And how long was it? Like, what was it, like an hour and a half?
An hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, that went by like nothing. It went by like it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I did not expect to sweat as much as I sweat. Like, I was drenched, and but it was definitely I can see, like, it takes a lot
therapy,
of focus.
Yeah, it's the best therapy. A lot of people say, right? You could have problems at work or with family, and then you go train jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden, like, you're transported in a different world. You train, and again, it goes back to what we were talking about before about the tribe. You know, how many of us at our age, in our 30s, in our 40s, actually have that connection with other men? You know, like our ancestors used to have. You know, you probably had a tribal council. You all trained for war. You guys fought to defend the village. There was this brotherhood, this connection. I think a lot of people, after they graduate high school, they lose that. You know, probably you had some friends you grew up with, you saw every day. You had your little clique, your tribe. And then you grow up, you get to work a modern day job, you work in a cubicle, do Excel spreadsheets all day, and you are isolated. And a lot of men our age don't feel that connection anymore, like this thing that we have ingrained of the tribe, until they go back and train jiu-jitsu. And all of a sudden they rediscover their strength, what their body is really capable of doing. And they discover this kind of like brotherhood, you know. And I guess that's part of why a lot of people feel that training jiu-jitsu is like therapy. Yeah, it's an amazing experience.
I can definitely see it.
Well, and anything that gets you out with the boys and working and any kind of physical challenges is so immensely important. I mean, like, yeah, I actually wanted to see Vinny Brusco might be coming on the show again, maybe next Tuesday. I forget when the hell it was, but I was thinking about trying to get him in tonight here too, just for the same reason.
He's been training jiu-jitsu for years.
But on top of that, there is another great need that people like Vinny are starting to really put their time into, and that is to create spaces where, you know, guys just get together and they have places to work, places to socialize. You know, men's groups, chess clubs, whatever it is. There are people making strides to bring that back, because those male only spaces, they've evaporated, and of course, even beyond that, it's just the modern day work schedules and how, you know.
And by the way, not like in a way like getting a group together with the guys to have a bunch of beers and talk about tits and ass.
Right.
That's not what Vinny does. I mean, it's very much like, you know, responsible men who get together and talk about, actually be vulnerable with each other, talk about stress, talk about things that they're going through, and, you know, and like share bits and pieces of wisdom. It's really cool. I've been to a few of his meetings. I'd love to go back just to schedule.
Well, he's going to be stopping in a little bit more often. Hopefully, I've been working on it. We talk, and I think he's going to come on the show. I don't know when the hell it is. The Tuesdays are his best night of the week, so I'd love for him to drop in on a couple of those Tuesdays. So you might see him on their way out. Yeah. You can stick around if you want, whatever. But yeah, that's whatever the hell it is, whatever it's centered around, especially if it's something physical, something that really you have to, you know, exertion. I mean, it's huge, man. That wrings it out of you. We store. That's the other thing about the lean tissue, like the muscles. We store so much shit. Like, you think about even just the lymphatic system. You know, just doing slapping and just cleaning out the lymphatic system underneath. You know, just hitting the tapping, all those stuff to actually get the body moving. And just clearing out things that are held onto. That is on a physical level. Even you probably know rebounding, things on small trampolines. That helps get the body clean out. Stretching. If you don't feel, if you haven't stretched in a while, or if you do stretch and then you go a little bit extra one day, over the course of the next 48 hours, you almost feel feverish sometimes because of what's just been released. That we hold black gunky shit all over the place. It's either energetic or there's something physical, biochemical about it. And I don't know, we're just designed to wring this stuff out. And when we don't, we feel it. We walk around feeling like Tin Man. And I mean, I feel those, I feel that a lot. And I felt that for a long time. And whenever I feel that, I know that I'm off track and things got to change. And to do that in a group, man, there's nothing more inspiring. It sucks to say, I got to take my medicine today. No matter who's around, I got to go outside and I got to work out. Whether it's hot, it's cold, it's perfect. There's nothing like going out and you got a couple of your friends there and everybody's, you know, trying to outdo each other. whatever the hell it is, it's good. It's good stuff. It really is. It's necessary.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's necessary. So, what do you think about this Candace Owens thing?
Ooh. Anthony, you start.
Oh, me?
Yes, putting you on the spot.
I want to listen for this one. I
don't want
to see what everyone has to say. I want to see what you have to say and Frank has to say.
You're playing it safe. You want the French assassins to kill us off first.
I know the French assassins. They're coming. No, Anthony just said it right there. He's sick of not knowing.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
And if you're not, this is one of those things where you have to. It has to be reading the news. And then reading, it's not even like reading the news. Like what did the New York Post publish today? You have to establish first all of your go-to sources for people who do different types of parapolitical reporting.
Yeah,
a lot of the biggest news stories are barely ever even covered on like, for example, 125 people killed in Brazil.
Yeah,
we're gonna get that, or the fires out in Lahaina in Hawaii.
Right.
You know, that was, you got about a week of coverage in the news, and then there was weeks more of people who were trying to get real information out to the rest of the world about who was missing and how little information is being given by the authorities and all that stuff. So it's exhausting, and it forces you to almost like make this a passion, which it's soul sucking. And what are you doing? You're fighting to get to the heart of a story, which is never going to make you feel good when you understand it. It always sucks.
It's so hard to vet that information, but it's hard for us. But I think it's even hard for Candace herself. Like, she might be getting played by somebody, you know?
So you think there might be a little bit, she might be getting played. I know that there's somebody putting it out there that she had been pranked the other day about being, essentially being given her own lawyer's address or something like that. And people said, no, the FBI headquarters are very close to there, and it is the same address. Here's what they put out there. This is from today, 7 a.m. this morning. Our show will be off air this week. As an update, both with the White House, let's see, wait, where we say, as an update, both the White House and our counterterrorism agencies have confirmed receipt of what I reported publicly. Emmanuel Macron attempted to organize my assassination per a source close to the first couple. Also, I will again state that the French legionnaires were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, but they did not act alone. For all of you who doubted my claims, you can now look at the President of the United States and our intelligence communities to issue a statement to confirm whether I am telling the truth. So now she's kind of put the ball into Trump administration's court to confirm what she's saying here. And again, the natural question is, Macron has, if this is not real, if she's lying, Macron has a much bigger reason to sue her than over her claims about his wife's penis. You know, that whole thing about his wife being a man, you know, and that whole thing, for people just like, well, yeah, that's why he put the assassination thing. Like, really? I mean, you already have a major lawsuit out there floating around. All you can do, I mean, you can just not pay attention to it while that all gets meted out. But you're going to state sanction the murder of Candace Owens just because of the penis story? That makes no sense. And then, of course, now it's begging you to ask a bigger question, because here it is, the statement that they are also involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm pretty sure Charlie Kirk's assassination had nothing to do with Emmanuel Macron's wife and her genitals. So
that's ridiculous.
Right. So obviously it's much bigger. We're talking about what? What are we talking about?
Look, if we go back to the John Perkins book that we spoke a little bit before, he has like 4 phases of how that whole process works, right? So first there's the economic hitmans, but when the economic hitmans are not working, that's when the character assassination campaigns start. and they're trying to get the public up to speed of what's going to happen next. And then he said phase 3 is the jackals. That's when the killers or assassins are sent in. And then if the assassins fail, that's when the U.S. or whatever country starts really setting up a proper war with soldiers and platoons and things like this. Maybe we are in the Candace Owens story at the character assassination phase. Maybe there's not going to be any assassination, but this is probably some kind of like fake information that she was fed, so that her reaction is going to blow back in her face. Maybe it will come to be that, you know, she had the wrong information and she pushed the wrong information, and it will make her kind of like look foolish in the front of the public and probably lose some followers. Maybe it's a bit of there's a character assassination.
So that's what you're feeling, because I know that you don't dismiss anything out of hand.
No.
So this is just something where you naturally feel that you think that it's more likely that she's being led astray in some way?
Yeah, to make her look like a fool. Look, I don't take anything off the plate, because any kind of leader of a nation does questionable things, right? If you go see, even not Macron, but when Sarkozy was in power 10 years ago, you know, they facilitated a regime change in Libya with Gaddafi. They left a very dangerous power vacuum in the region. You know, you saw a lot of videos online too of slave markets being reopened in the region. And, you know, like France apparently was behind a lot of those regimes changes just for just to control natural gas and resources that were in Libya. So a lot of these people will do really heinous things just for their own benefit. So yeah, you know, the possibility of a assassination that Macron might have, the possibility is there. But right now, I think it's more some kind of like false information that was fed to her to kind of make her look like a fool in front of everybody's eyes and kind of discredit her own channel and her own media.
Well, obviously, at some point, there's going to have to also be evidence, and
Right.
a lot of people have asked the very, very simple questions that, you know, if she's been insinuating that some aspect of the Trump administration had to have known, or the federal government, somebody within the federal government had to have known about, or at least known, if not taken on some kind of a bigger role in facilitating Charlie Kirk's murder, then why would you ever depend on anybody associated with that machine to now release evidence and make some sort of a, I mean, because at that point you're talking about waiting for the Trump administration to essentially issue confirmation that a foreign state was going to come to the United States to murder an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a very big international problem. That's a huge international problem.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know.
I think the sometimes the easiest thing to say or think about is just that old Latin phrase "cui bono," who's going to benefit. I think if we apply that to a lot of situations like this Candace Owens situation right now, or even the Charlie Kirk assassination, we could probably figure out who's behind a lot of this stuff. You know, for example, you just mentioned that, you know, she was pointing out that maybe some elements of the Trump administration or somebody in government were facilitating or behind the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's some kind of like rogue elements that are really trying to play for the other side, but I don't see any benefit in the MAGA movement in removing one of their shiniest knights in armor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely.
So I don't think her statement is correct. If they were not really MAGA people. They're sort of like people that are infiltrating in that movement to discredit the movement itself.
Yeah, and again, I'll just be clear on that there too. I don't in any way, shape, or form think that someone like Donald Trump is like, okay, yes, he has to go. No, but when you think about all aspects, both declared and undeclared, that are a part of what we say is the United States government, there's so many ways, and everything is so compartmentalized. I mean, there's who the hell knows when the last time that American presidents even knew everything that was going on in the government.
Impossible for them to know everything.
When was the last time? Yeah, it's impossible because it does so much, and you can not possibly even be briefed on all that stuff anymore. But also, we know there is just everybody's compartmentalized. And, who really gets all the pieces arranged in the proper way? I don't know. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of people who are snakes in the grass that want certain movements destroyed, certain people taken off the table who could cause generational problems, like Charlie Kirk was one of them. And now you want to talk about character assassination. That is happening in big ways in the media. Independent media, whether it's Tucker Carlson or anybody else. There's quite a few people who are getting it right now. And I don't know. It's only creating a Streisand effect right now. There's only more and more people who are drifting away from the Daily Wire. They're drifting away from anybody who has any kind of terrestrial radio syndication. Nobody's watching television anymore, that's for sure. So who knows?
Goes back to what we were saying. Sometimes you don't have to really physically kill the person. If you diminish their credibility little by little, they'll lose followers. People will get tired with them and move on. It has happened in the past also with Alex Jones. He got a lot of things right, but he also got some things terribly wrong, and then his audience moved on. So maybe this is part of a similar kind of like strategy to discredit her.
It really, it could be. It could be. Well, I mean, I don't know. I had so much stuff. I've got more I wanted to ask you guys about, but I don't know how much you wanted to do. Let's get into the super chats here. Then I really would love for some people to call in and let us know what you're thinking. We have so many things that are already on the books. I see a couple of missed calls here that I didn't see, but give us a buzz 914-200-0269 and over to the super chats. Let's see. Delona says, good show, great show tonight. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Delona. That's on YouTube. And Delona is now in the running for, among other things, ladies and gentlemen, get in on this. Tomorrow night, between tonight and tomorrow night, that is a whole ounce of fine silver. And I'm going to send you a whole bunch of other stuff, including this wonderful little ditty here. Johnny, I'm going to give you to the count of 10. There you go. You can go put that up on your Christmas tree. I got so much stuff here that I want to give to you. So let's go back to that. Flim Flam Man says, Happy Thanksgiving, Frank. I think that's Dan Schumann. Says, Happy Thanksgiving to Frank and his family and to the entire audience. Cherish your family, even if they drive you crazy. That's a good thing to hold in your mind. You must. You absolutely must. Genie Yankee fan says, count me in, Frank. Sure, you're in there. Stostube on quitefranklysuperchat.com. He tipped a very angelic 1111, but he didn't put a message down because if he did, it would have popped up on the screen because I have speech supers on. So Stostube, you got to put something down next time. Thank you so much. I wanted to hear that pop up. All right, let's see. Joe Martinez, thank you so much. Jay Brits, that was before. I think everybody saw that pop up on the screen.
I'm gay.
There you go. He gifted $10 and he just wanted to let everybody know he's gay. Crestmont Bear, this is before the show even started. Frank, I just wanted to say how saddened I am to hear of the news of Pyretta. Animal or not, it's always tough losing a friend. Prayers for you, Anthony, and all Elton mourning. She was blessed to have y'all as stewards.
Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
Anthony.
Thank you.
People were outpouring all day yesterday. Of course, I saw all the response you got on your
really
post.
Appreciate it. Really appreciate the outpour of love and support, and also the sharing of everyone's experiences too. It's comforting to see other people. I mean, not that I want to hear that other people have lost pets, but it's a reminder that we're all in this together. That this is a part of life. So
yeah. And what are you going to do? Not form those special bonds just because, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can all buy parrots. They're not as cuddly though. Parrots, they'll outlive you.
Well, I mean,
parrots will live like past 100 years.
But it's just like anything in life. Like you're not going to live at all. Like, I mean, we all know what we're getting ourselves into. The unwritten contract that we take when we bring in an animal, or you know what I mean. Like, chances are we're going to be outliving them. I mean, it's the other way around happens too. But
that's what's happening with Lauren's grandmother's parrot.
Really?
So it's already been passed down twice because it keeps living. I think so. It's crazy.
Wow.
Those things only live for like 75. They're like Galapagos tortoises. Those live for like 300 years.
Almost 300, yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, you're right. It's just, what do you do? What do you do? But I appreciate that, and I know Anthony did too. Awakened Boomer says, I've always felt that my poems and songs write themselves. I simply polish them. What you're talking about with Michelangelo. Grayson Pro says, Skibbity. Okay. Well, there you go. Some youth talk. Thank you guys. Make sure you just like the show and like the stream. We're almost wrapping up over here. I really thank you guys for being around. It was good. I was looking forward to this one for a while, especially after we met last year. It's like, damn, Alberto, you're gonna be great on this show. You got to.
Thank you, man. I told you, like, I wanted to come here on the show and talk to you about UFOs and conspiracy theories. So I'm glad I made it.
Well, we got the economic hitman story. That's crazy. But have you ever? I know you've been around. You and your wife travel a lot too. Have you guys ever been able to observe something in a UFO?
I'll tell you in some stories. Okay, so I'm a big UFO buff. I don't usually talk about it. Most people don't know, but I think I read every UFO book that's out there, and I did my own research for many years. And I'm a big believer that UFOs are real. I've been saying this for the past 20 years, and finally, since 2017, the U.S. government is saying the same. I never really saw like a UFO per se. I saw like one time when I was 14, this massive red ball of fire in the sky that just crossed the whole sky, and it seemed like it was going to hit like a mountain nearby. And the moment it went to the mountain, it disappeared, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just some re-entry thing. But since I like UFOs, every time I meet somebody or I travel, I ask them if they ever seen a UFO. And I've got a few stories from very, very reliable people about them. I had a friend whose grandfather was in World War II in the Navy, and he told me a story about a UFO coming up under his battleship in the Pacific, and from the ocean just jumping into space in a matter of a second. And I had another interesting story from another person that I really believe 100% that he was in Mexico in the 80s, like on a cliff looking at the ocean during almost at sunset. And he said that he saw a light coming up from the ocean again. And him and the friend that he was with looked at this light in the distance. And all of a sudden, the light zapped right close to them. And it was a traditional UFO, he said, with like blinking lights all around, like a Mexican sombrero. And then by the time they're like, oh, wait, what is that? It just zapped away too.
The USO stuff. I've had a couple of stories that were submitted to this show from people in the military who talk about the lights underneath the surface of the water, and the movement, and like incredible stories. I want to go back and find them again. I love those nights when those calls and those emails come through. Incredible. But when you talk about somebody that has this kind of an experience out on the open seas back during the Second World War, you know, that's prior to Roswell. Yeah. And that really being in the consciousness that UFO mania that happened in the late 40s, early 50s, and beyond, with that science fiction, boom. But That's crazy.
Crazy. And you mentioned, it's interesting how like in this field, sometimes people talk about like synchronicities. And you mentioned Roswell. A few years back, I was taking like a cross-country trip with my wife. And on the way back, coming back from the West Coast to the US, I was driving by Roswell, New Mexico. And a few miles from there, my car broke down. So we were not supposed to stop in Roswell, New Mexico. And it was like the 4th of July weekend. But we had to kind of like just find a cheap motel and stay until the car could get fixed. So for a few days, small town, they don't have all the parts. So I had to stay there a few days. And it was right when they had the UFO conference and the UFO parade in Roswell, New Mexico. So I was like, I might as well stay and go check out the museum. And the day that I went to the Roswell Museum, that talks about the crash from 1947, Travis Walton and a few other like abductees were there just to like give speeches or something. I guess they got invited to the parade the next day. And I got a chance to just talk to like Travis Walton for like 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, like we was there. He was talking and he was talking to other people. And I was just like a fly on the wall, but I got to talk to him too. And it was very interesting.
Obviously, I mean, if you knew who he was, then you're not asking him the basic questions and he just, the story. What do you remember any of the stuff that you asked him?
Yes, I kind of asked him a lot of stuff about like the beings and the so-called Nordics. So this kind of like aliens that look like us that he saw in the hangar after that he was able to free himself and run out of the first like room spaceship that he was in. Look, a lot of times you see these people on TV or you read the books and, like you always wonder, are they being truthful or not? But, when you see somebody in person, you kind of see if they're lying or not, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but when you look at somebody in the eyes, you kind of get a sense of like, wait, are they full of shit or not? And I did not get that impression from him. Yeah, and I asked him a lot of questions about this because it was really weird in his story, right? Because a lot of the stories of UFOs or abductions always involve like the so-called grays, like 4 foot tall, big heads, black eyes. And his story was a little bit similar. When he wakes up on the medical bed, he has like this shorter beings around, but he's able to kind of like wrestle them and bolt out of the spaceship.
Yeah, they're frail. They're
yes.
Yeah.
But he said that at that point he starts seeing humans basically that were wearing like a blue like tight suit that looked like made of polyester, and they were blonde. They look kind of like the stereotypical kind of like Nordic, Swedish, German, from even like World War II Aryan kind of like myths. And that was kind of like very intriguing. I was like, did you think that they were humans? And he was like, he was not sure. But it's interesting that two species were there at the same time. And, if there was only one, I might think that, that was just the fruit of his imagination. Something happened. He got hit in the head. But the fact that there was this kind of like the aliens, but also the humans in contact made me think that maybe there's a little bit more truth to this story. And maybe there's more, going back to your desire to know the true history of the world. Then maybe there's something that we don't know. Then maybe there are some parts of our society that have actually come to some kind of agreement with some other non-human intelligence.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think it's worthy consideration. I really do, because why not? Why not? I mean, we know that if people can make deals that really would not benefit the large majority of us, deals would be struck and are struck all the time, especially when it comes to experimenting on just the human race. I mean, we have been experimented on a lot, and over 1.5 billion people. Over 1.5 billion people were experimented on just within the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And
I think I know what you're referring to.
It's constant, no doubt. Now, when you talk about even bigger things, when you talk about engineering or all that stuff, that's, I don't know, whether it's the Vril, the occult secrets of the Vril are. Robert Sepper writes about that a lot. Would love to talk to him about that when he comes on the show next year. But then there's also There's also the idea of, again, what are these things? I remember somebody talking at great length back, and it's the first time I ever heard this theory, that what if the gray aliens are really just us?
Mm-hmm.
And not us, like physically, but what if they are AI that is here almost from a future iteration of ourselves, that they are the only thing left behind from what we left behind.
Right.
And they're, it's anything like that, because everybody who describes the grays are, it's always very robotic and plastic looking, and obviously no emotions. And it made a lot of people think that, well, what if these are in some way drones
Possible, yes.
that could, I don't know, that could better survive any kind of conditions in interstellar travel or interdimensional travel or anything like that. And then when you talk about Travis Walton, which, Anthony, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's that movie Fire in the Sky. It's based on his abduction story.
Okay.
And so he's told that story so many times over the years. And but that whole idea of being able to physically overpower the aliens, get out of that medical examination room, and be running through what he believed to be the hallways of this alien craft.
Angry, yeah.
And to see anything that resembles human form there, you start to wonder: were they human? Are they some Nordic species, humanoid species, or are they actual humans that are working on other human beings through robotic AI proxies that we identify as gray aliens?
Yeah, I gave it a lot of thought. Like, I wanted to kind of solve this equation, right? We have a mystery in front of us. But so, what are the aliens? Who are the aliens? Have you guys ever read Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie?
No.
It's a very famous murder mystery novel, right, from 100 years ago. So, well, big spoiler, but I guess, the book is so old I can actually say the answer. In the book, the whole book is so hard to pinpoint who's the assassin on the train, because the reality is that all the people on the train are assassins. They all were complicit into murdering the victim. So sometimes when I come to this alien conundrum, and we, some, like you said, maybe they were humans, maybe they're humans from the future, maybe they're some kind of species that survived from the past, from some kind of antediluvian society that now disappeared due to cataclysms, pole shifts, and stuff like this. Maybe they come from outer space. Some people say that they're interdimensional. I think the reason why we cannot find one single answer that fits all the clues is that because there's not one single answer. I think the world is more complex than we know. And I think although this are we all kind of try to wrap them all under the same umbrella, the causes are very different. Like, if you see something flying, it's not always a bird. It could be an insect. It could be a drone. So we all see the same kind of effects, and we think they're caused by one answer. But I don't think that one answer fits everything. So I think you're right. Probably some of them are biological entities that were created in laboratory. Part of them are probably from in a different solar system that came to visit us. I think also part is possibly that they are some kind of creature that lives in a different kind of scale or dimension, which is seems strange, but we learn that can happen. Some people sometimes bring up this interesting fact that the largest biomass that there is on the world is not humans, is not plants, is actually bacteria. So if we had a scale and we put all humans, all mammals, all reptiles on one side of the scale, and on the other side bacteria, the bacteria will tip the scale if we just thought about biomass. But we don't even see the bacteria. The bacteria are all over, but we don't see it because they live in a different scale compared to our world.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's possible that we just have not discovered yet, but there's, at a different scale, at a different dimension, some kind of intelligent entities that we can't really pinpoint right now because our science is not there yet. So like I said, I think behind the alien conundrum, I think it's not just one answer, but there's a lot. and possibly also this antediluvian, like the Atlantid survival theory. I think it's possibly very true as well. Because isn't it interesting? Look, all the aliens in these stories, somehow they walk this earth, they breathe this air. I mean, how could you go to another planet and just breathe a different kind of concentration of gas, right? So a lot of clues point that they might be coming from Earth itself. Also, the eyes are in front. So, like, what are the chances that they have, stereoscopic bifocal vision and their eyes are right in front of us? They might be some kind of like, we might be somewhat related, but in the evolution chain, we broke off a couple million years ago. And they probably still live here on Earth too, just maybe in where we cannot reach them, at the bottom of the ocean, or maybe in some pockets inside the Earth. So I think these are all possibilities. Yeah.
I think I think the thing that I resonate with you the most right there, because of course we can all trade theories all night, and I love doing that, is that I just have a hard time with anybody that simplifies it. I have a hard time with anybody who simplifies it. I'd rather strap in and get a 2-hour theory that still doesn't cover all of the ground, and just what it all could be, and then beyond that, we're gonna have to just find out when we leave this. We shed this mortal coil, and hopefully, all is revealed to us when we are able to truly swim in the ether, that divine ether, and just know, just have that knowing. I believe it comes from God, and who knows, man. Well, first of all, this is just an introduction, because you got to come back on the show. And we got to do chapter 2 of all of our talks, and by then maybe we'll be able to get into John Perkins a little bit more, and
sure.
And I'll just keep putting things aside that I think would be interesting for whenever we reconvene. And are you gonna come here for the Christmas party?
Absolutely.
Oh, damn. Okay. Although I might even pop on. That'll be a Saturday night. I think I'm just gonna go live for a little bit, pull some people in for 10 minutes at a time. You come in and say hi to people too.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Okay. So before we leave. Let me see here. I have your Instagram, Alberto. It's in the description of the episode. Your Instagram links, your link tree is on your Instagram, so people can find all of your work. So I hope people go and check that out.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to talk about or plug before you're on the way out?
No, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I'm so happy that I got to meet a few years ago Anthony. He's just such an interesting person, and through him to meet you. And it's a pleasure to be here to talk to all your fans and all your friends that I met at the Jamboree a few months ago. They were all such great people. I love the energy. So anytime I can be here, I feel blessed. Thank you.
You know what I loved about that night, especially with you. Your story about that night was you came. We said, dude, come to the VIP. We want you're a personal friend. We want you to be around, and the fact that when you came to the VIP and you met all the so many members of the audience and we're all just hanging around, it was coming there that you said, we have to be there tomorrow now. Mm-hmm. We have to go to the other, and so we found a way to get you to the actual Jamboree as well. So I'm glad that the first night sold you on how because the second night was just incredible. And
I love the community you were able to build. They're surprisingly nice people and great people, and they come from all over the U.S. and some of them came also from Europe, I remember. So, man, congratulations. I think we need sometimes in this world, for how complex and dark it is, somebody with the voice like you that spreads like a positive message that kind of also pushes people to think, not to take things at face value, but to look a little bit deeper. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'm very blessed with this audience, and it took a long time to meet who I have. And I know that, actually next year you want to talk about milestones for me and Anthony, but come officially February 2026, it's 20 years.
Wow.
20 years that me and Anthony started streaming and started just being, doing work on internet radio and everything else. So it's going to be 20 years. And it took that long to be here for when this wave started to crest, this new wave of media and all the people who are now, finding shows. We had to wait it out. If logic had dictated when we stopped streaming, we should have logically stopped streaming about a year or two after we started.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't do things logically. We said, no, this is something we love, and that and the music production and everything, and now it put us in a position to, I hopefully, like what you were describing at the Jamboree, that's a foundation that I'm hoping to build the next 20 years on. The people in the audience are just absolutely incredible. In fact, the guy, Crestmont Bear, who wrote in giving his condolences about Pyretta before, that is Carl. And Carl was the big American lumberjack guy that was head to head with you guys. And I came up to both of you guys, like, look, we had like 3 giants. You're pretty tall. How tall are you?
I'm up 6'4", yeah.
6'4"?
230, yeah.
I think Carl's about 6'4", 6'5". You guys,
he was such an interesting person to talk to as well.
So I mean, that's just goes to show how amazing that was. And I try to keep that Jamboree in mind when things get challenging, because it's like I said.
But success sometimes is like an iceberg. For the point that's above the water, there's this whole mountain underneath it, that people build years after year. But I think, cream always comes to the top, and you're that cream, and hard work is going to always pays off.
Oh, go on. Thank you. That's I really appreciate that. And thank you, guys. Anthony, thank you for hanging out, and thank you for introducing me to Alberto. And of course, this is a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Great.
And hey, if we don't talk beforehand, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Likewise.
And yeah, I know Anthony and I will be having Thanksgiving together at some point.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll eat a turkey.
That's
we will
do, I guess.
Smoke a cigar.
Right.
Then who the hell knows what else? All right, everybody. Well, you guys have been great. I'm going to, let me see. Jay Boogie says, happy Thanksgiving to Frank and Anthony. Thank you, Jay. Kelly Silva says, Anthony looks like you with hair. Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I just, I don't have any hair.
I guess that's what happens when you have the same parents.
Yeah. Well, at least the facial structure. Let's see what else. Poso for hope. Thank you. Tommy Jekyll says, good show. Poso says, I can't believe in outer space since they have faked all space travel. Well, we can talk about that. That's another night, right?
Right.
Oh, there you go. Ghetto Boy says, sending your family all the best, Frank. I hate this show. Just kidding. Another great night with 2 fascinating guests. All right. And for everybody on Pilled, I'm going to be talking to you guys, Homegoy, Delona, Boys Blanc, Dub Helix, Sean Joe, Twisted Sticks, Vesper, Big Chief, NX17, Amethyst Cat, Willie, all of you guys. I'm going to be talking to you in the after hours right now after I see Anthony and Alberto out. I'll be on the flip side with you guys, hanging out for a little bit until the lights go out. And remember, everybody tonight that sends a super chat, and after tonight, especially overnight, quite frankly, superchat.com, you go into the running for tomorrow. Get to ketobrains.com, use promo code Turkey, and win $500 worth of shit tomorrow. It's amazing stuff. And thank you again to Molly. I will see you guys soon. Be well.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Oh, quite frankly's film before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Jay Boogie, Kelly Silva, Delona, Flim Flam Man, Stowstube, Joe Martinez, Jay Britz, Crestmont Bear, and Jeannie Yankee Fan. Thank you to Grayson Pro and Awaken Boomer and Tommy Jekyll and Ghetto Boy and Poso for Hope and all of our wonderful gold pillars. I'll be spending time with you in just a second. Get to the flip side. I'm putting the link in the chat room, everybody. Perfect knowledge of true world history coming your way. Click the link in the chat room now.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.